Hey viewers, this is Chase, and this is my second Java Basics tutorial. And in this tutorial we're just going to do some actual coding. If you don't have Eclipse and stuff, you should probably watch my first tutorial unless you have your own programming ID you're comfortable with. And so what we're going to need to do first to actually start coding is we're going to need a project, and that's just somewhere we put our code. So just push New Project up here, New Java Project, and then just name it whatever you want. So I'm going to name mine tutorial number 1, or I guess it should be 2, but you know. And you don't need to open it. You can if you want to. I'm not going to. The Java perspective just adds new views and stuff, like this would be over here or something. And point is though, now we have a project, and inside our project we can put a class in our source folder. So I right-clicked it, push New, and then Class, and name it whatever you want. Tutorial. There we go. And now we have a class. And a class is just where we can put our code. And you can have multiple classes. We're just going to have one for now. And just to go over what's already here, basically we have to say who can access this class. So if we had other classes right here, would they be able to access it? If we said private, then the only class that could access this class is this class. But we're not going to do that. And then class just says, hey, this is a class. And then this is just what we name our class. And then everything inside these brackets, this is an opening bracket right here and closing bracket. Everything inside of the brackets is part of our class. And so now we have to put something called the main method. Main string args. And for the most, you can normally name your methods whatever you want, but the main method is something that most Java programs that you create are going to have. Because this is just where Java goes to start. Because you could have multiple classes. I could have a class called other class, and then in here Java doesn't know which one it should start with. What code should it go to first? And that's where we have the main method. The main method is where Java starts. So basically it's public, so other classes can access it. And Java needs to access it, so it can't really be private exactly. And then static just means that it's not part of an instance of tutorial. You can access it without instantiating tutorial, and that doesn't really matter. So don't worry about the static for now. And then void is just what it returns, and that means it doesn't return anything, which is good. Don't worry about that either. Main's just the name of the method, the main method. These are called the this is the arguments. Args is short for arguments, and that's just what's Java's gonna pass it in. And what that really is if you ran it from the command prompt and you were like Java jar or whatever. I actually don't use the command prompt much, but if you were to open your program, whatever it is, like right afterwards, you could put things like this, and that would be passed in as the arguments. But don't really worry about that, because you'll probably not really ever use it. And so yeah, and so now we have our main method, public static void main string args. And make sure you copy it just kind of the way I did. So you need these brackets here, and this, and this, and so again we see these curly brackets, opening bracket, closing bracket. Everything inside of here is part of the main method. And so basically we can just put code in here now. So I'm just going to show you a command called system.println, and Java is capital lock sensitive, so you have to have a capital S here, and this has to be lowercase, and this has to be lowercase, and all that. Same with everything else. You can't have this named main, because see, if I run the program now, Eclipse is going to be like, dude, what's up? See, there's no main type. What's up with that? I didn't create a main method. Now if I run it, this happens, which is just about nothing. And so we did system.out.println, and basically we're telling the system to print. And so what we're going to be creating in this series is mainly text-based programs. And so if you go into system.out.print, you can just say text. So I could say hello world, and see, now it says hello world, and you have to have these little quotation marks that tells Java, hey, this isn't code, it's text. So we're not trying to call a method called hello. or access a variable called hello, or something. It's text. That's what the quotes say. And so you just say hello world, and ta-da, we have a hello world text outputted in the console. And the console is inside of Eclipse. So when you run a program in Eclipse, if you use printing, it'll go to the console. But if you were to run it from a command prompt, then it would actually, you could have your program run in here, and then it would say hello world here, if you ran that program. But we're not really going to ever use that because we can really just create our own programs. So the console is good enough for us. We can create our own programs with our own GUI to display output, because you really don't want a program that the users have to use the command prompt to use. It's not very user friendly. So that's how system.out.print works. And there's also couple more things I'm going to teach you, but the newest thing is going to be comments. So this is a comment, and Java basically just ignores everything after these two things. So I could go like this and put it on the end here, and that's fine, but if I put the comments before it, it gets rid of it. So that's just how comments work. And there's another type of comment I'll teach you later, probably in the next tutorial, but that's just a single line comment. Everything after those is commented out. Now just one more thing to cover real quick. This is a comment. There's not just system.out.println, there's also system.out.print and system.out.printf. And we're not going to use this until we've learned about variables because, well, it uses variables kind of. But basically, println puts an enter, or it goes to the next line afterwards. So if you notice, when I do it line first, the next how is on a new line. But if I put this how first, notice how they're on the same line, because this is just print, and it doesn't put a line on the end. And there are ways you could do like this, and then we would have a line. Whoa! But don't worry about that. I'll teach you those things later. Basically, they're just special characters, you know. And so that's that. And that's the other reason I'm not teaching you printf, is it uses things like s, or it's %s. But you know, stuff like that. And so we're just going to close up this tutorial there. And now, obviously, this isn't that exciting unless you're me, just a lifeless nerd. And then it's pretty exciting. You know, I was pretty excited when I wrote my first program. But yep. So in the next tutorial, we'll start getting to stuff that's a little more useful. And in just a few tutorials, we'll have you making programs that can interact with the user. You know, you could make a program that asks the user their age, and then you can be like, oh wow, you're old, or oh wow, you're young, depending on their input. And in this series, we're probably just going to go over the basics, but it should be pretty quick, only a few minutes long per video. And in the next series, like the games one or the GUI one, then it'll start getting really exciting. So just finish this tutorial, you'll have a great basic understanding of Java, and then we can go on to do some cool stuff. And so that closes up this tutorial. I've kind of talked a lot in this one, but the next one should be pretty quick since all I have to cover is the actual code. So yeah, I hope to see you next time. We're going to go over variables and multi-line comments.